Imagine you're 6 months pregnant. You're doing all the things most expectant parents do. You're picking out colors for the nursery. You're picking out the best car seat. You're trying to find the right pediatrician that you feel is going to be great for your baby. You haven't even picked out a name yet. You're working out all the little details to welcome your bundle of joy in. You have plenty of time. There's no rush. After all, you're only 6 months pregnant. Well, you start to feel like something's not right, so you go to the hospital, and 12 hours later, you have a new baby. They've exhausted all efforts to keep the baby in, and she was just ready to come out. You have just given what they call premature birth. Premature birth is when a woman delivers a baby prior to 37 weeks gestation. A normal delivery is 40. I am very familiar with premature birth because my niece was born 3 months early. She spent 6 months in the NICU. She only weighed 2 pounds and 3 ounces. So I am very familiar with the risks that go along with it. Today I will inform you all of how premature labor is defined, reported statistics, as well as risk factors and complications that go along with premature birth. All right, some of the statistics for premature birth. 1 out of 10 deliveries will result in a premature baby. 450,000 babies are born premature in the United States every year. The average hospital bill for a full-term birth is only around $4,000. The average hospital bill for a premature baby is around $54,000. Now, Mississippi, according to the marchofdimes.org, a recent article, Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana rank worst in care for premature babies. Premature births are increasing according to an article from the CDC.gov. They have increased from 1967 to 2001. Now that we've discussed some of the statistics of premature birth, I'm going to talk about some of the risks that can lead to a premature birth. Some of the risks that can lead to a premature birth is the expectant mother smoking cigarettes, the expectant mother doing illegal drugs, drinking alcohol. These are all risk factors that can be controlled by the mother. Unnecessary stress. There are also some risk factors that the mother may not be able to control herself. Some of those are elevated blood pressure. Some of them are stress that you cannot control. A woman that has given birth to multiples before, or a woman that is pregnant with multiples, usually will have a premature birth. Over half of premature deliveries are for an unknown reason. They don't know why the mother gave birth prematurely. Now that we've discussed some of the risks, let's talk about some of the complications to the baby. Of course, the earlier the baby is born, the greater the risks are. Starting at the top, some of complications to the baby. Brain bleeds, fluid on the brain. My niece actually had a brain bleed, and she has a little valve under her skull to help drain the fluid off, and she's 5 years old now. She still has the valve, and she's perfectly fine. Moving on down, they can have trouble with their heart. A lot of preterm babies have what they call a PDA. It's a hole in the heart. Sometimes it closes up on its own. Sometimes it does not, and they have to do surgery. Premature lungs. This right here is the lung of a preterm baby. It's not developed. Full-term lung looks like that. You can see it's fully developed. A lot of times they have stomach issues, temperature control. Preterm babies can't feed on their own. They have to have a they have to have a feeding tube. Most of them have to have a breathing machine. A lot of them are behind on development. And like I said, the earlier they're born, of course, the higher the chance for complications. As common as premature birth is, we all know someone who has given birth to a premature baby, or someone who may even be premature themselves. It's more common. Of course, there are some things that you can control to lessen the risks of a premature birth. One thing I have learned through this is just because a baby is born premature doesn't mean they can't live a long, full, healthy life. My niece is 5 years old, and she is just as normal as any child, a happy, healthy little 5-year-old. If my family would have known some of the complications before, we would have been a little more educated, so hopefully this all helps you have a little more information as well.